Hey everyone, Nemo from the Overclocker here. So, it's been a while since I looked at a 64GB DDR5 kit, and well, here I am with the Kingston Fury Beast DDR5 6000 CL30 memory. So, there are actually two versions of this memory, one CL36 variant and the one that I have here with the CL30 kit. So, the CL36 one you can find virtually everywhere, while the CL31 is very rare. For instance, here in SA, I looked on Wootware, and the one that I could find is, of course, the CL36 version, which retails for about 5,600. The CL30 version simply isn't available. While you can buy it online on Amazon, it simply does not ship to South Africa. If it would ship, the price would be around $265, excluding shipping fees. The primary reason I wanted to talk to you about this kit is because I recently moved to the ROG Crosshair X870E Apex board for my AMD testing. And this board in particular is good with DRAM OC. And as such, if this memory was going to do anything amazing, it was going to be on this very motherboard. Well, there was a theory anyway, but it turns out this memory is actually using the older Hynix MDI 16GB ICs. And as such, while the timings are tight by default, there isn't much headroom in terms of frequency for you to go. And the best I could do reliably and with stability is DDR5 6400, which is still good, especially for AMD. Not all is lost though, because dual rank kits are faster than the single rank counterparts, and as such, a 32GB DDR5 7000 kit is actually slower than a dual rank 64GB kit operating at 6400. As such, while the frequency wasn't there, the nature of the memory access on dual rank kits allows effectively more performance than I'd get at a higher frequency on a single rank kit. While 6400 CL28 was great and stable, I found that 6200 CL28, but with get down mode disabled, is actually faster. Get down mode would not work at 6400 with this kit. Suffice to say, I didn't realize that the Apex board only has one profile for 64GB configurations, and you guessed it, is 6400. As such, it let me know that 6400 64GB is likely the memory speed limit on the platform if you're not including corner cases and extreme overclocking. Well, since I've given you the context surrounding this memory and my testing, I think it's time for us to get on with the benchmarks. So without further delay on my side, as usual, testing was done on the AMD Ryzen 9 9900X, on the ROG Crosshair X870E Apex using the 1605 BIOS, the ROG Strix GeForce RTX 4080, all powered by the Corsair HX 1500i and cooled by the Corsair Titan RX 360mm AIO. First up, we have either 64 memory bandwidth. As you can tell, compared to the standard DDR5 5600 speeds, the Kingston XMP memory boosts bandwidth by about 8 to 10 GB a second. DDR5 6400 increases the gains further, but is likely running up against other system limits. DDR5 6200 is the fastest despite the lower DRAM frequency. Memory latency is reduced dramatically as well, from the default setting all the way to export. Further tuning from there yields very minimal gains. In Geekbench 6, we see similar behavior where the biggest benefit is simply by enabling Expo, which adds 1000 points to the multi-core test. 6400 doesn't add that much more here, but once again 6200 with get down mode disabled scores the highest. In Geekbench AI, it's pretty much the same thing, save for 6400 scoring lower than the default Expo setting. I'm not sure why that is the case, but it was consistent. Either way, all settings here are better than DDR5 5600 CL36. In SuperPi 32M, it's as you'd expect. The largest gain is from enabling Expo, with further tuning there yielding very little in terms of compute time reduction. In the Benchmade 7-zip benchmark, you can see that Expo is again doing the most, delivering the largest jump in performance against the default DRAM settings of the CPU. 6200 once again leads the pack with gear down mode disabled. Y-Cruncher 2.5B echoes what we've seen thus far, proving that with this memory, there's really no need to try and shoot for 6400 or more, unless of course your CPU's memory controller can handle that. I suspect get down mode disabled at 6000 is actually the same speed as 6400, but I didn't actually test this. The last of the synthetic test is V-Ray. Honestly, these results are in line with what we've seen until now. 6200 is the clear winner once again. Finally, we get to the gaming benchmarks. And up first is Hitman World of Assassination. Merely switching to the Expo profile is no longer providing the largest boost in performance. That's coming via manual overclocking, and of course DDR5 6200 is leading the pack. This setting does more for the performance from Expo than what Expo does for performance from DDR5 5600. Now this is in contrast to Forza Horizon 5, where there's barely any difference between Expo and 6200. All of the settings are better than default, but not by much, to be honest. Marvel's Spider-Man 2, on the other hand, seems to respond very well to the memory overclocking and tuning, with the 1% lows increasing by 21% by just enabling export. And from there, the increase in performance just isn't as dramatic. However, for the average frame rates, DDR5 6200 adds another 10 FPS from the export setting performance. Last, we have Dragon Age the Veil Guard. Get down mode here seems to make the massive difference in the 1% lows, adding 11% more performance from DDR5 5600. The gains in average frame rates though are all small, at just 5 FPS between the slowest and the fastest setting. Well, there you have it, one of the most cost-effective 64GB kits available for the AMD platform. It delivers alright, at least in terms of usable performance. While I would have loved it to go to DDR5 7000 or even 7200, it sadly was not capable of this and would generate errors in any RAM test. Regardless, what we've seen is that most of the performance to be had from this memory simply comes from just enabling export. And even if you can't get to 6400 for some unknown reason, 6200 is more than enough if you disable gear down mode. First of all, the only voltage adjustment you'll need to drop to CL28 is just adding 50 millivolts more to the default operating voltage, which brings it to 1.45 volts. It's honestly not much, and the heatsinks can more than handle it. In as far as 64GB kits are concerned for this platform, the Kingston Fury Beast memory is a solid option. It's not going to set the OC world alight, it's not going to break any records, but for gamers and those who just want an affordable and performant high-capacity kit, the Kingston Fury Beast is an actual obvious choice. And well, that's it from the Kingston Fury Beast DDR5 6000 64GB kit and me, Nero of the Overclocker magazine. Until the next time, please take great care of yourselves, guys, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace!